The kingdom of darkness will always mock our walk with Christ, try to destroy us. Watch this. I'm going to give you this revelation. Matthew chapters 27, verse 27 through 31. Matthew 27, 27 through 31. And the Bible says, then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium, and they gathered the whole garrison around him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. And when they had twisted a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him, and they mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! Then they spat on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took the robe off of him, and they put his clothes on him and led him away to be crucified. See, the kingdom of darkness will always try to mock your walk, especially when you have truly submitted yourself to the point where you're willing to give up everything for Christ. You're willing to lay down your life for Christ. The kingdom of darkness will sit there and will mock you. Demonic spirits will come and try to spit on you, try to destroy you, try to tear you down, try to make you feel like everything you did was worth nothing. And let me give you this. You know how I know this was demonic? Because they put a crown of thorns on his head and pressed it down into his skull. What does the Bible say? 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7. The Apostle Paul said that he had a thorn in his flesh that was a messenger of Satan. He had one thorn. Jesus had a crown of thorns. So what they were doing to him was they were mocking him by allowing a manifestation of demonic principalities to cover over his head. With your head, your mind, that's your connection to heaven. So when I read this, I can envision a manifestation of demonic spirits hovering around him, hovering around his head, hovering around his body, as the thorns manifested on top of his head. Demonic principalities mocking him. And then what did they do? They placed a reed in his hand. If you were here last week as I was teaching on the scepter, well, the Bible says that the scepter of the kingdom will never depart from Judah. They placed a reed in his hand to represent the scepter, and then they took it and they hit him in the head with it. They mocked him, they laughed at him, they spat on him. They said, All hail, King of the Jews, laughing at him. You know how we also know that it was demonic? That's why Jesus on the cross said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because it wasn't the people, it was the demons. This is why he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They were manifesting the presence of the kingdom of darkness in that moment. And he said, you know what? I'm going to die for you too.